Hi everybody, in this video I am walking you through how to do sitting knee pillow squeezes. For sitting knee pillow squeezes, you are going to need something to squeeze in between your knees. If you've got a yoga block, that's fantastic. You might have a cushion, you might have a folded up pillow, you could have a loo roll, or if you don't have anything at all, you can actually put your fists together like this and put them in between your knees. You're also going to need to understand the ins and outs of sitting in extension position. So if you haven't watched my video yet on sitting in extension, please make sure you watch that first so you understand about the alignment of your feet and what we're going after at your hips and your pelvis. What we're doing is layering an extra hip demand on top of our sitting in extension position. So please do watch that first. So we're getting our toes, ankles, knees and feet. No, we're getting our toes, ankles, knees and hips in alignment, and we're rolling our pelvis forwards into our sitting in extension position. We're keeping our rib cage facing forwards. We're not lifting the rib cage up to the sky. And whatever it is that we have between our knees, we want to make sure that we are keeping our knees more or less at hip width distance apart, which is narrower than most people think. So if I had my yoga block this way round, my knees would be wider than my hips. And if I had my yoga block the narrow way round, my knees would be narrower than my hips. So what I'm going to do is use this medium way around, but it depends on the size of the block or whatever it is that you're using to do this squeeze as to what you need to do. So when we put the block in between our knees or whatever it is that we have, we look down and we just need to ask ourselves the question, are my kneecaps in alignment with my hip joints? And if the answer is yes, or you're nearly there, then you're absolutely fine. When I put the block in between my knees, I'm not putting it on the bony bit of my knees because I've discovered that that doesn't really wake up the inner thighs in the way that we want. So we're going to pull the block a little bit closer towards our groin so that the block is on flesh effectively, and that's going to help us wake up our inner thighs more. We're going to put our palms facing up. We're keeping our big toe joints on the ground. Remember, we are rolling that pelvis forwards, trying to keep both of our sit bones level from side to side. And as we roll that pelvis forwards to close up the hip, we're feeling how the hip flexors have to engage to hold us there. And that's exactly what we want. We're breathing in and out of our nose. We're sending the breath to the lower rib cage so that we're activating our diaphragm. We don't want our shoulders moving up and down by our ears with our breath, and we don't want to breathe in and out of our mouth if we can help it. So, palms facing up. What we are simply going to do for knee pillow squeezes is squeeze, hold, and release whatever it is between our knees. So I'm squeezing, holding, and releasing. I'm squeezing, I'm holding, and I'm releasing. And as I'm doing this, I'm trying really hard to maintain control in both directions. So you'll probably find it sort of easy to squeeze inwards, but if you release too quickly, you might create all sorts of like juddering and sort of out of control sensations. So I want you to release the squeeze with control and quite mindfully, and see if you can keep this movement as measured and steady as possible. The further and longer that you do this, what you're going to hopefully notice is that the squeezing of the block is waking up your inner thighs, your adductors, and your adductors bring your legs towards the midline of your body. But because you're also maintaining that position of the pelvis and you're not letting it roll backwards, you're also going to notice the hip flexors. So the hip flexors are waking up to keep your pelvis in this engaged position, which is where you're going to receive a lot more support for your upper body carriage. So rather than us constantly having to like shove our shoulders backwards, when our hips and our pelvis are supporting us correctly, you'll just notice that you sit more upright, but in a relaxed way, not in a forceful way. So we'll just do a few more of these. Squeeze, hold, release, squeeze, hold, release. And typically I'd probably program somebody to do this for in between about 2 and 5 minutes. So it's completely up to you. You can do 2 minutes, you can do 5 minutes, but whatever it is that you're doing, you're maintaining your breath, you're keeping that rib cage forwards, rather than up. You're rolling the pelvis forwards and you're keeping your big toe joints on the floor and relaxed. It should very much be concentrated on your inner thighs and the fronts of your hips whilst you're doing this exercise. So that was sitting knee pillow squeezes, and I hope you found it helpful.